Welcome to the 5:30 p.m. September 6, 2023 Special City Council Budget Meeting. We do have a quorum, so I'll call this meeting to order. Way out there. Would you please join me in a moment of silence? And the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, would you please read the rules to speak tonight?
Yes, sir. Individuals wishing to speak on agenda items must complete a sign-up card prior to the item being introduced. Sign-up cards are available on the table. Individuals wishing to speak on non-agenda items may do so under public comment. No sign-up card is required. Citizens will be given 3 minutes to speak on all items. All sign-up cards and exhibits being submitted to City Council shall be placed in the box on the table.
Thank you very much. City Manager.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. This is your first public hearing for the FY 2024 Annual Operating and Capital Budget. And we do have an array of staff here to assist in answering any questions that you may have when we go through the presentation. First off, slide one, Tom. The July 28th meeting, the city manager's proposed budget had a millage rate of 6.7945 and a proposed voted debt millage of 0.2234. At the workshop on 17 August at 5 p.m., the City Council went ahead and adopted the proposed millage rate of 6.7945. This is your first public hearing, and the final public hearing is scheduled for the 21st of September at 5 p.m. Millage rate, the FY 2024 is built at a millage rate of 6.7945, which is 10% above the previous year revenue per chapter 74,430. During the public hearing, City Council must discuss the percentage increase of millage over rollback rate, if any, to fund the general fund budget and the purposes for which the ad valorem taxes are being increased for and being used. Public comments will be heard regarding the increase of ad valorem revenues and the millage rate. The FY 2024 proposed millage is set at 6.7945, which is 6.08% above the rollback rate of 6.4048 mils, generating $1.2 million of additional revenue over last year's adopted budget. The proposed budget uses these dollars to fund a 4.5% COLA, to fund the increases in public safety staffing, vehicles, and equipment, and to fund increases in cost of consumables due to inflationary pressures. Back in February, on 19 February, City Council had a workshop and determined the FY 24 strategic goals and objectives, and these are them. The FY 24 budget environment property values continue to increase. They were 13% last year. Generally speaking, the city runs between 8 and 12%, so this is a good increase. In comparison, beachside communities run between 15 and 18%. State shared revenues are moderately increasing. Building and development activities, as you know, continue to increase. Operating and personnel costs are increasing due to the workforce environment. Healthcare costs continue to increase. And the OPEB liability is slowly trending downwards. And lastly, there still is a $10.7 million in unfunded capital needs. As we formed the budget, we used, and I'm going to go through these series of slides rather quickly because you've seen them before. We've used these items to build the budget. These were our budget priorities based on your strategic goals and objectives. Next slide. Next slide. And the 5-year plan shows the FY 24 operating with a 7% increase, and for budget years 25 through 28, we'll be using an 8% increase, which can be adjusted depending on inflationary pressures. Next slide. And finally, the last item, we encourage managed growth by using low-impact development principles as a means of developing an attractive built environment while protecting and conserving our natural resources. We were awarded $8.6 million in the American Rescue Act, ARPA revenues, and these are what we use those funds for. We're still in year 2 of that. Next slide. Changes since your 17 August workshop. You can see that unassigned balances were used as a revenue to pay for the additional TIF dollars and millage rate change. All funds, the proposed budget is $132 million, and as you see, half of the revenue is for charges for services, and you can see where the other pies are in there. Next slide. This is how things are being spent, 25% in public safety. That's 25% of the total budget, but it's 50% of the general fund. The FY24 proposed ad valorem per capita shows us down low next to Brevard County. So oftentimes, because our millage rate is high but our property values are low, you can see this is a telltale of how much per resident a comparison to our surrounding cities. This is our actual millage rate compared to the others within our surrounding areas. This is the tax house, and as you see, 37.07% your ad valorem goes towards the City of Titusville taxes. 38% goes to Brevard County Schools, and 22% goes to Brevard County. Additionally, you can see the St. John's Water Management District, as well as the independent districts and the voter excess debt. This house was built on a $229,000 house, and it also applied to homesteaded properties. Next, the city attorney will read the ordinances for the record.
Ordinance number 37, 2023, an ordinance of the City of Titusville, Florida, providing for the millage for the operation of the City of Titusville and voted debt service levy for fiscal year 2024 and providing for an effective date. Ordinance number 38, 2023, an ordinance of the City of Titusville, Florida, adopting the general and related budgets of the City of Titusville for the fiscal year 2024 and providing for an effective date. Ordinance number 39, 2023, an ordinance of the City of Titusville, Florida, amending Section 21-241-3 of the Code of Ordinances by amending and increasing the schedule of rates and charges for water and sewer service, providing for severability, repeal of conflicting ordinances, an effective date, and incorporation into the code. Ordinance number 40, 2023, an ordinance of the City of Titusville, Florida, amending Section 16-116 of the Code of Ordinances by amending and establishing an increase to the residential monthly charge for solid waste, recycling, and additional cart fees, and by amending Section 16-117 of the Code of Ordinances by amending and establishing an increase to the commercial dumpster and commercial can monthly charges for solid waste and recycling fees, and increasing the commercial dumpster rental fees, and by amending Section 16-118 of the Code of Ordinances by amending and establishing an increase in the extra charges for special services, providing for severability, repeal of conflicting ordinances, an effective date, and incorporation into the code. Ordinance number 41, 2023, an ordinance of the City of Titusville, Florida, adopting the Enterprise Fund and Capital Improvements Program budgets of the City of Titusville for the fiscal year 2024 and providing for an effective date.
Florida statute requires the following to be read publicly. The City of Titusville, Florida is the taxing authority. 6.4048 is the rolled back millage rate. The operating millage rate to be levied is 6.7945 mils. The percent of increase over the rolled back millage rate is 6.08%, which is characterized as a tax increase. The voted debt millage rate to be levied is 0.2234 mils. Next slide. In order, the recommended actions are to adopt the operating millage of 6.7945, to adopt the voted debt service millage of 0.2234, and tentatively adopt the general fund and related budgets, and tentatively adopt the enterprise and capital improvements program budgets. And that's the presentation.
That's the
Should you have any
presentation.
questions of staff or me, be glad to answer them.
Okay, City Attorney, is where we open the public hearing.
Yes, sir. At this time, we would open the public hearing on ordinances 37, 2023, and 38, 2023, which are the millage and budget ordinances.
Would we call the cards for either or both at the same time?
Yes, sir. You can call the cards. If someone has a card on each ordinances, they will receive 3 minutes on each ordinance. If they have one card, it'll be 3 minutes.
All right, City Clerk, you got that? Good luck. Call the cards, please.
Okay, which ordinance are we calling for? The first one?
37, 2023.
Okay, Stan Johnston. Oh, sorry.
Did they got the handout yet? They said exhibits, okay. So some other people should do that. Okay, so I get 3 minutes for this and 3 minutes for the other one, right?
Do we want to do them both at the same time?
Oh, is that?
Or
Yes,
we'll let-
you can address both ordinances at the same time, but you'll get 3 minutes for each.
6 minutes in total.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
All right, so what I've sent to you is is my business card, and it's in an accordion shape. These other people don't have it in accordion shape because it's foldable. And so I want to bring out some things to you about what we're spending this money for and the millage rate. And I am certainly for this $4 million or $5 million, whatever it might be, for the treatment plant improvement. I have this in number 11 on my business card. Reading it to you, it says 4-log virus treatment with impossible approval of with the impossible citywide boiled water alerts. And that's estimated at $4 million in my number 11. And I have a RRD for that. RRD. What is RRD? RRD is city playing a game of Russian roulette with rampant dishonesty adverse to the health, safety, and/or welfare of the public. So what has been happening for many years is that this issue has not been addressed. And I'm saying it's a Russian roulette issue because why? There's no way to give a citywide boiled water alert. City has tried it a number of times. They've always failed. This has been a game of Russian roulette for I don't know how long. Has it been 20 years? It's been a secret. Russian roulette, secret, by Water Resources. So I called FDEP. They should know something about that, right? And they say, yes, indeed, the city of Titusville has to meet the 4-log virus requirements. Does the city of Cocoa need to do that? No, they don't have to do that. Does Orlando have to do it? No. Does Kissimmee have to do it? No. Who else has to do it? Oh, there's somebody that has to do it. I'm not sure who it is. Whether maybe it's a trailer park. I know of no other city in the state of Florida of this size that has this problem. I have asked for that from Mr. Stauffer. I've asked for that from FDEP. I've asked for that from other people. The answer is, yeah, we got them, but what's the name of the city? Can't get a name. So what I'm saying is the city of Titusville has for many years played a Russian roulette game with the public because of this deficiency in our water treatment. Is this bad? You betcha it's bad. You betcha. Am I angry about this? I think I am. obviously. And you should be too. You should be disappointed in what the city has been doing because the city hasn't told you about it. And fact is, when Mr. Stauffer came to address the city about the boiled water alerts, he mentioned nothing about this problem. Not one thing. That's why I called FDEP and they told me what was going on. Am I the only one in the city of Titusville that found out about this other than a few people in water resources? Perhaps I am. Is that right? The right thing to do? It's not. It's not the right thing to do, and that's what the city has done. So when you're talking about the millage rates, thank you for finally putting in your budget, which Mr. Stauffer should have done, what, 15 years ago? I don't know, a long time ago. I don't know, maybe he wasn't here 15 years ago. He was here at least 10 years ago, though. So I'm praising you for that, finally to do it, but I think I gave you a little bit of criticism for that, too. I'm hopeful that this millage will include item number 2 on my business card. Item number 2 on my business card indicates the money the city should be using for open and notorious hazardous sewage spills not reported and denied in spite of photos, witnesses, and failure to post hazardous warning signs. And then I'll quote FS 838.022. What's that? That's false reports. Do you know what the city is guilty of? If I can get the state attorney to file charges, which I'm trying to, it's a felony. It's a felony. So the city needs to go ahead and take care of this and be truthful, because they're not. You know what recently happened is TEC disagrees with all of the city of Titusville and says that, by golly, it did happen. In fact, they got witnesses, including me and Laura Lee Thompson and a whole bunch of other witnesses. I expect there's at least 50 witnesses. I believe some people are over there on Carroll Avenue, Mr. Diesel. So the thing is that a false report is pretty bad. So what did I put on this? RRD. Again, it is what? City playing a game of Russian roulette with rampant dishonesty. So in other words, you're playing a game of Russian roulette with the health of the public. Why can I say this? I'm speaking to you as a professional engineer, and I'm licensed to do this. This is my profession. Protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public, especially in civil engineering.
Thank you so much.
Do you have another minute on that? Probably not. Thank you.
All right. Call the next card on 37-2023 and 38-2023.
No more cards.
All right. Council, anything, comments, questions, concerns? If not, we move to the motion for 37-2023, correct, City Attorney?
Right. The first thing you must do is adopt your tentative millage.
Just 37-2023.
So you wouldn't be adopting the ordinance, but you would be adopting a tentative millage rate.
Okay. Okay, so basically we're moving forward to the next step on the
Yes, sir.
adopt tentative millage rate first. Yeah, if you, whoever wants to do it. All right, Vice Mayor.
All right, I move to adopt the tentative millage rate of $6,000.7945.
I believe it's 6.7945 mils.
Yeah, the millage rate of
6.7.
6.7945,
Correct.
which is 2% above the rollback rate of,
Actually, it's 6.0, that would be 6.08% above the rollback rate of 6.4048 mils.
okay, of the rollback rate of, what is it, it's 0.25?
Joe, I think it's 6.4048. mills. Am I right?
I'm trying to figure out what number goes in what blank.
I know.
Yeah,
I spent about 10 minutes trying to figure that out.
okay.
The numbers presented to council in the report, if that's what you're referencing, was a tentative millage rate of 6.7945
Right, I
mils,
got that.
which is 6.08% above the rollback rate of 6.4048 mils, and a debt service millage at 0.2234 mils.
Okay. All right. I move to adopt the tentative millage rate of 6.7945. The percentage increase over rollback is 6.08, which is characterized as a tax increase. And the voted debt millage rate is to be leveraged is 0.234. Is that correct?
I believe it's 0.2234 mils.
Well, 0.2234.
Okay, one more two. There you go. Two,
That
two,
is-
three, four.
Okay.
Second.
City Attorney, are we good?
Did we leave anything?
The percentage rate.
I just want you to double check before we go forward.
Yeah,
Yes, if I can confirm with Member Robinson, your motion was to adopt a tentative millage rate of 6.7945 mils, which
Right.
is 6.08%
Yep.
above the rollback rate of 6.4048 mils, and to
Right.
adopt a tentative voted debt service millage at 0.2234 mils. Is that correct?
that's what's on the computer.
Okay. I have a motion from the Vice Mayor, a second from Member Nelson. City Clerk, are you good with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Roll call vote?
Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Tentatively passes. Is that correct terminology? Tentatively
The
passes.
the tentative millage passes.
Tentatively passes.
And as stated by Member Robinson, I'll state for the public, the percentage increase above the rollback rate is the percentage increase in property taxes, which was tentatively adopted by City Council. Next, you'll need a motion to adopt your tentative budget.
The second, we tentatively adopt the budget. Second, I move to adopt the tentative general and related budget of the city of Titusville for fiscal year 2023.
Actually, it should be 2024.
Okay, it's supposed
That
to
was
be
a typo.
24.
Yeah, good.
Fiscal year 2024 ordinance number 38-2024.
Three.
Two.
Yeah, the ordinance is 23 for fiscal year 24.
Okay, they're
Second.
trying to read what's on the.
All right, I got you. I got a motion from Vice Mayor, a second from Member Nelson. Roll call vote?
Member Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Member Cole?
Passes, tentatively passes. All right. Guide me to the next step there, City Attorney or City Manager.
Next, we'll open the public hearing on ordinance 39, 2023, which is the schedule of fees for water and sewer service.
And just from clarification, there is no more tentative voting for tonight.
At the end of the meeting, we will be addressing the tentative adoption of the tentative budgets for your enterprise fund and capital improvement program. That would be the last, and that's ordinance 41, 2023.
Okay, let's do public hearing, call the card on public hearing ordinance 39, 2023.
Dan Johnston?
Stan Johnston, I'll read from my business card, just a little introduction. Stan Johnston, P.E. I'm a 50-plus year resident of the city of Titusville. I've been in P.E. Civil Engineering from 1976 to present. P.E. I was hired and employed by the city for 7.5 years as a P.E. and also I used sparingly used my surveying license, ending in 2008. I have an inactive surveyor license, but it was active for 27 years. I wrote on my business card, it says, "A stupid fool." That's talking about who? That's talking about me. I've been a stupid fool of the Titusville's tricks until 2012. In 2012, I had some professional engineers from the city of Titusville told me some lies. And they told it to a city manager also, and not to mention their names. But it was a horrible thing that happened, and it woke me up. So I've been a fool for many years, for probably over 30 years. Let's see, we're just doing 38, is that correct?
39, 2023, correct, City
No,
Attorney?
no, I mean, we're just doing 39 right now.
Right.
This is 39.
Okay, 39. 39 I'd like to comment about is that I object to the, what the city has approved, and that was an improvement of the recycled water, removing some more phosphorus and other things. I object to that. It was first it's estimated at 11 million, and then it went up to 13.5 million, and it's unnecessary. Nobody's required to do it, but the city is doing it anyways. It reminds me of Wall Street, what's going on there. Wall Street did some terrible things in 2008. I mean, it was a mission. Actually, they did it long before 2008. But I just don't see us spending the money, and the need is not, I don't see that the need is there, although some people argue that. So I disagree with that part of using the public's money for that. Although it's a grant, I just think that's unnecessary spending. That's a lot of money. I mean, especially when the city of Titusville asked them repeatedly to hire a professional engineer to dispute my findings. Let me say that again. That's a number in here. It says number 15. It's called a cover-up. Number 15, cover-up by refusal to hire a professional engineer to dispute my findings. So in other words, I say these things, and what I get is closed doors. Did it turn yellow? I missed it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Next card, please. All right. Stan, you might not want to go far. Public hearing on ordinance number 40-2023. Call the card.
Oh, okay.
Dan Johnston?
Oh, we don't have any more motions here until later. Yeah, we don't do any of these. Well, let me just make sure, though. No motions on these. Okay. All right. Appreciate it. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. Stan Johnston here. The same guy was just speaking. And I'm a professional engineer. I'm here to talk about the 40. And that's the solid waste service charges and rates.
Wanda, could you get the clock running? Thanks.
Excuse me. Okay, sorry. So I think that there's been a mistake in the rates comparison with the county and some others. I believe that the city of Titusville far exceeds what other services, other COCO and the county are providing. I believe we got a really good deal with the city of Titusville and what they've been doing. So I'm very much in approval of this particular ordinance. I think that the administration, even before Cook and while Mr. Cook is here, they've done a fantastic job. Been very forward and progressive, and that was the first, as far as I know, that had those separate containers that with the lift-up truck and so forth. As far as I know, we were the first in the area to do that. So I certainly have no criticism of the solid waste services by the city of Titusville. Thank you.
Kevin, anything you want to say? Got me off track there. All right, so we call the cards on 3940.
We have one more card.
Okay, go ahead.
Tony Schiffler?
Usually I agree with Stan. I totally disagree. Tony Schiffalo, 715 Tropic Street. I do agree with him. I have no problem with solid waste, but I want to make sure because, you know, I kind of stay on top of things, and I didn't see anything about increasing charges for, is this for picking up the garbage and the recycling and the yard waste? Is that correct?
I think all.
I'm looking for clarification.
Yeah, and just to clarify.
Is that all three of those things that I'm
I think
paying
I could give
for?
an answer, but it could be wrong. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, we don't charge extra for yard waste. That's rolled into refuse. So yes, refuse, recycling, yard waste are all inclusive.
And we're talking about increasing the rates for that now, and that shows up once a year on our property tax bill,
No, ma'am, that shows up every month on your
on our
water bill.
water bill.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I have no problem in my neighborhood because my husband goes out and he, from his training and from the former county we lived in, he has everything cut into 4-foot lengths, or he has it stacked appropriately. And not only does he do that and make sure that it's stacked easily so the guys can pick it up, he goes out and picks it up with them. And he being a Bahamian and some of them being Jamaican and other Caribbeans, they talk about the plants that the cuttings are from, and he gives them the sticks of the cassava or the cane to plant in their own yards if they could or would. And so I have no problem with that. I just have a real problem of paying extra money for it, having that go up along with everything else, because income is not going up for a lot of the citizens across the city. And I'm not much on social media, but I do read a lot. And beside for the water problem, and so I'm all for raising the rates to get us better water and infrastructure. Besides for the water problem, the biggest problem people have throughout the city is the mattresses or the couches or the yard waste on the streets that stays for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I don't know, maybe they should be more friendly to the guys when they come around to pick up things, and especially the guy who operates the big claw truck. He's an expert. And they even get out with a rake and rake it up afterwards. My God, these guys are wonderful, but I don't want to have to pay extra for it. Please don't raise the rates on it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so anything else on ordinance 40, 2023? No other cards? All right, the next one would be public hearing on ordinance 41, 2023. And wait, city attorney, this would be one that we would have a motion on? Okay, so we'll go ahead and call the cards. Council, anything you want to say to that first? All right, call the cards, please.
We have one card. Stan Johnston?
Stan Johnson, the same one, been up here before, so I don't have to give you a whole lot of information. But if you were to read a part of this business card, this small business card, it says this is has an exposure. That it describes me as a defender and expert witness for the health, safety, and welfare of the public. And it says on item number 3.0, it says exposure of some of my findings, 20 truths. So I'm giving 20 examples, of most of which are self-evident. Self-evident of Titusville's violations of laws, violations of simple math, simple logic, and foul play, damages, rampant dishonesty, uncorrected errors, lack of sustainability, disservice to the public, failures of Rotary's four-way test, and RRD. And RRD, remember what that is. That's the city playing a game of Russian roulette with the public health, safety, and welfare. So I mention that because I would like the funding of some things to be improved upon. And I had a list of something here. Well, this list includes a number of things that should be included in capital improvements, such as the dams, weirs illegally flooding and taking of private property. That should be looked into. It's against the Constitution. And I had something flagged here that I want to read, if I can find it. Anyhow, we have, here it is, the missing and destroyed FEMA and other records needs to be getting, that's number 9. And number 10, withholding of flood zone information since 1985. Listen to this, Mr. Diesel, especially. And fraudulent approval by City P and all of the 2014 firm map confirmed by cost of the city of over $80,000 by the approved 2016 loaner of Baker's subdivision. Yes, indeed. And that was a horrible thing that happened, that are the same one I'm talking about, the lying of 2 PEs in the city of Titusville. So I would like capital improvements on those particular issues. Parkland Estates is one big one, because it's the similar as Baker's subdivision. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other cards? Council, any comments? Member Cole?
I was going to make the motion because this is an easy one.
It is spelled out for you pretty good.
It is pretty
You
good.
see us juggle the other ones. Before that, anybody else have any comments on that? I see none. Member Cole?
I move to adopt the tentative enterprise fund capital improvement program and related budgets of the city of Titusville for fiscal year 2024 in ordinance number 41, 2023.
That was excellent.
I did it.
You
I
did
even
it.
changed the date that was on here that
You
was
did it.
wrong.
There it
Yeah.
is.
I'm smart.
Second.
Have a motion from Member Cole, a second from Member Nelson. Roll call vote.
Mayor Diesel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Nelson?
Tentatively passes. City Attorney, guide me one more time.
We're now to petitions and requests.
And on this, here, it says petitions from the public present, as this is a special meeting, the comments must relate directly to this meeting. I just want to confirm that. I think it was read differently by city clerk, making sure. All right, so if anybody has any petition or requests, it would have to relate to this special meeting, which is the budget. So any petitions or requests, no card needed.
Stan Johnston. I wish to speak on the matter of money. And one thing I've held back on is I haven't spoken anything about money, specifically. Number 1 item on this, on my business card. Number 1 item says, I'll read it to you. $70,000 fraud by city manager. CORB 8506, page 1374. So I'm asking you, as a monetary item and fraudulent item, I'm asking you to investigate the city manager and his fraud that's in ORB 8506, page 1374. This is a money issue, and I'm asking also for Terry Butler to look into this, because this is fraud. This isn't a joke, and I'm thinking that, well, maybe I can go to the Ethics Commission, because this is fraud. Talking about $70,000. And you guys, what do? Closed doors. You don't talk about it at all. Mrs. Nelson knows very much about it. You see how active she is in that video. This is a big deal, and maybe you guys are accessories to this fraud. $70,000. $70,000 fraud. I think that Terry Butler should be interested.
Stop the clock. I get you're saying 70,000.
It's money.
Let me talk. It's my turn.
Yes, sir. Excuse me.
You're saying $70,000 to make it as if it was part of the budget issue or something like that.
Yes, it is.
I'd like you to talk more about that. I thought you've done a great job tonight staying on topic and talking
you.
about budget things. So if there's other budget things, and we heard that, so really you're not supposed to repeat the same thing over and over. So we've got your
I'm not.
$70,000 concern. and let's move forward if you can. If not, we'll move.
Well, I'm talking about the $70,000 because, you know,
You said that like 6 times. We got that.
okay,
got that.
well, maybe even 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, because the thing is that I'm making all kinds of calls to attorneys and so forth. And I expect what I'll do is I'll go to Florida Ethics Commission.
Okay.
And you guys will be involved, because this is the $70,000 that Terry Butler should look into, that Tom Abadi should look into, that you guys should look into. That we know he's guilty. He's been just a hustler and a shyster, and I'm
All right,
asking
we're
you to
good.
terminate him. Terminate him for that.
We're
Because
done.
this is a
Stop
money
clock.
issue.
Stop clock.
Yes, sir.
If you can't go to something else with money, we're going to be done, because you've said that already. You've talked about city manager already. And as you know, part of the rules are you can't keep repeating the same thing. So go on. You've mentioned the 70,000. You've mentioned the fraud, which I don't know what has to do with our budget today, but let's go ahead and finish up. Go ahead.
Okay, all right, so I should defend it. In other words, when we're talking about money, when we're talking about a budget, here was the guy, we've got a guy who's working on the budget, our city manager, and I'm not giving you an opinion here, I'm just saying as a fact, a matter of fact, he is guilty of fraud. There's no question about it, there's no doubt about it. And you guys are ignoring it. Closed doors to it. You don't even want me to talk about it. That's bad. That's really bad what you guys are doing. It's like Wall Street. Just ignore it. Ignore the problem. This city of Titusville is a joke. You guys are working on a joke right now, because when the city of Titusville lets this guy, and you encourage him to be dishonest with what he's been doing,
All right, we're
that's
good.
bad.
Stop. I'll just ask
Okay,
you one
stop the
question.
clock,
No,
please.
we're not going to stop it. We're done. I'm going to ask you a question, though. If I say you're guilty of fraud, if I say you're guilty of fraud, does that make it a fact?
It makes a fact to me.
If-
I'm not telling you.
That's all I'm
I'm not assuming
No,
something.
well,
I'm
yeah,
not,
I'm just
I'm
leaving it
not
at that.
accusing him.
I asked you the question. You answered it. We're good.
I don't know.
We're
I'm not
done.
accusing
Thank
him
you.
of fraud. I'm saying he is.
And if I do the same to you, what weight does that carry? I'll leave it at that. And I wouldn't do that to you, by the way. So go ahead. We're good. Thanks.
Thank you. God bless you.
Hi, Tony Schifflode, the historic Norwood House, Tropic Street. I just wanted to say that I've been sort of part of this process this year from back in March. I have my notebook and my minutes, and some things that came out of that was that there should be more meaningful communication with the public, and the couple of methods were suggested: better minutes of the various advisory board meetings, and I must say I greatly appreciate the improved minutes of my Historic Preservation Board. And I don't know that the TEC is broadcast yet or not. I haven't tuned in myself. But one of the things, that we wanted to talk about was the education of the public. And I wonder, this is the budget hearing. This is where we're going to talk about money and how my tax dollars are going to be spent. And I wonder why Stan and me are the only public that are here. I wonder if there shouldn't be better communication, and if some of those dollars that we're not spending on other things could be used to one of the goals and objectives. I think it was down in goal 6 somewhere, about educating the public and having public workshops. And I think a workshop on the budget and how things are determined and what it means, 6% over the rollback of 6 point something or other percent. I've been the treasurer of many organizations over my lifetime, but I have no idea what that means. So communication, education. I wanted to say that I wonder, what about the changing work environment in Titusville? I'd be really interested to read an article about that causes an increase in that aspect of the budget. It was mentioned in one of the slides. I think LID should be a must, not an elective for developers. I think that 1% of the city budget goes to culture and recreation, and I'll bet most of that 1% is recreation. There ain't much culture around here, I'm here to tell you. And I consider myself a cultural artist and activist, and I'm looking for it. I'm going over to Tampa Bay this weekend for a bunch of events. My band is playing in Dunedin at a Money for Maui. On Sunday, my theater organization is having a 10th anniversary of open mic for veterans in a very nice venue in Tampa. And so I'm going to be over there. Lots of culture going on over there. 1% of our budget. I see my time is running out, so I just wanted to say I think people ought to know about this and come.
Thank you. Any other petitions? I don't have to ask that card, is there? Okay, there's only two, so we're good. City Manager, that's the end of that, except to announce for next meeting.
Yeah, the next meeting will is scheduled for 21 September 23 at 5:30, and this will be the final public hearing, and it'll be in the City Council chambers.
What date did you just say?
21 September.
Oh, I thought you said 23rd. Okay, September 21st, 2023, 5:30 PM. I just want to say before we close the meeting, as I look at the budget, and certainly we've looked at it a lot and got the big book and did everything, and every year, I will say that I'm very pleased with what we get for our money, what we get for our taxpayers' dollars from our police, from our fire, from our solid waste, from our water resources, from all the people that you walk in on the offices and the planning and just go upstairs and see what they are, see what they're doing. And I will just say this too, when some of us got on council in 2016, we averaged 7 projects on the board at any one time. 7 projects on the board at any one time. Almost 8 years later, we averaged right at or over 50 projects on the board at any one time. These people are running as fast as they can run, working as hard as they can work. And when our population goes up like it's gone up, and the road that we have to pave and work, and the police and the fire are trying to cover more miles with more people, my hat's off to you and I thank you. I think that sometimes budget time might be a good time for us to remind ourselves of how hard you work and what you do. And I'm proud of everything that we spend, and when I look at the big circle pie, there's a lot of people in that pie. If you really look at it, you look at every department and everything that's done, I'm very proud of you guys, and I appreciate that. Member Nelson.
So I want to add to that. When we started in 2016,
2016.
there weren't a whole lot of projects for the lagoon.
Yeah.
And I look around today and Kevin and Sandy, I think Sandy's working her fingers to the nub and getting grants right and left, hopefully an appropriation. And, you know, I look at the river, I look at the town. Are we where we want to be? No. But are we a lot closer? Yeah. Town looks good. It's looking better. The river's looking better. I did hear something the other day that I have to share. So the zoo planted seagrass down by Tom Stratham Park, and they put the cages over the seagrass to protect the seagrass. And apparently the manatees are laying on top of these cages so they can smash the cages down to get to the grass.
Wow.
Which I thought was
Smart man.
Wow.
I never realized manatees were that smart. I really didn't. But, so, you know, we got seagrass growing apparently, except for the manatee problem. That's growing good. The grass behind Parish is growing good. So I see a lot of hope for our future. So just want to say that.
And I would agree, and I've said it before, we've done more projects for the Indian River Lagoon than anybody else in the county. And I'm proud of you all for that, and I support that every bit I can. You know, while we're growing and thriving and striving, and our US 1 drive 10 years ago looks nothing like it does now, Garden Street, Highway 50, we're growing. But we also were able to get a tree ordinance and a low-impact development ordinance, and I can tell you that sometimes we don't feel it until I have some developers come to me and say, well, we were going to do this, but the tree ordinance, which tells me it's working. So with that said, I'm very proud of where we're at, and I'm very proud of what you guys do, all of you. Even if some of you have to sit on the back row till 1 o'clock in the morning for our meetings now. But with that being said, City Attorney, City Manager, anything? Go ahead. Oh, here's Member Cole, go ahead.
Well, I didn't join City Council in 2016, and I've been here less than a year. My 77 years of lifetime, I've experienced a lot of things, and I've worked a lot of organization and leadership roles. And I have to say that I've been totally impressed. Despite the things we hear and the criticism we hear about our staff, you guys do a great job, and I'm so proud to be a part of this organization, and thank you.
Good, Vice Mayor, toss anything in there, you good?
You want me, I guess they want me to speak. Good night.
I didn't want you to look bad. I'm trying to help you out, sir. I don't want you to leave and them saying, "Oh, he didn't say anything." You good?
I'm good.
He spoke. Good? All right, thank you again. Appreciate it. I always say dismissed, sorry. Meeting adjourned. Set it.